Let's talk a little bit about the economy. In 6 days, we get the March CPI report. A lot of the temporary factors the Fed's been citing for a year now are going to drop out of the calculation. How much of a jump do you expect? And do you think that's been priced in?
So I do think that we're going to see inflation come in a bit higher, particularly year over year. We had some pretty low readings around this time last year, and they will fall out of the year as you said. So I think we're going to see an increase. I do think that there was initial expectation about inflation at the beginning of this year that got priced in. We've kind of backed off of that a little bit. And so I think some of it's priced in, but I think also the markets are doing the same thing we are, is really trying to wait and see what the numbers come in at and the dynamics around it to make an assessment about where inflation is.
Well, PCE headline last month was already at 1.8%. How soon do we get to or go over 2%? How far would you be willing to go over 2% and for how long? Well,
I think that, as you said, the trend is going in the right direction. And I think we're going to hit 2% sometime in the next quarter or two. I'm actually very comfortable going above the 2% to some amount. 2.2, 2.3. I don't think that's a crisis of overheating necessarily. And I think it's also important that we take a stance such that everyone understands that the 2% level is an average and is not a ceiling. And I have some concerns that we've been below for so long that if we go to 2% and do a hard stop and act aggressively to hold it at 2, that will send a signal that we really view 2% as a ceiling. And I think that would be unfortunate and not helpful in terms of where we want inflation expectations to be.
Well, you've argued in favor of inflation targeting. Let inflation run above the 2% level for a while.
Yeah, so I actually think that the target, having a range and looking at it as an average over a certain period of time is exactly something that we should think about. So we just did a 4-part blog series on our website that really talks about the ideas of price level targeting and why we might want to be rethinking our current communication of strategy. That's something that we're going to have to discuss. We did this really to try to spark a conversation among academics and among market participants and among my colleagues to ask sort of how are our current frameworks working and do we need to change them?